We've heard that the United Nations Responsibility to People, known as R2P, provided the U.S. and NATO with a moral foundation to intercede in Libya. That resolution comes from 2005. But the real issue is not for the people of Saudi Arabia, but is why this moral concern for Libya is not for the people of Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Bahrain, or Palestine. Why only for Libya? So if responsibility to people is a veil over the truth, what is the truth? The answer is corporate greed to maintain the oil rights they've had since 2005, when Bush Jr. lifted the 1996 sanctions against Libya, as it sued the U.S. and the UN to stop the sanctions in return for not seeking nuclear power. As recently as 2007, Blair, our oil marketing representative in the Mideast, took BP execs to Libya to arrange a $21 billion deal. One could argue then that the current intervention is not for oil. However, if Gaddafi is overthrown, there would be uncertainty in how Libya's oil would be distributed. The initial outcry when Libya's people went to the streets seemed to indicate this very scenario. Hence the move to ensure U.S. was on the right side and go into Libya, possibly with troops, and we will get to that. Remember, Lady Simmons resigned as advisor to Libya's National Economic Development Board when Gaddafi began shelling urban protesters. Note how recently the U.S. authorized American companies to buy oil from Libyan rebels. That's putting a lot of dollars into the rebels' hands as it lubricates the coffers of our oil elites. These transactions have been with Qatar Petroleum and Vitol Groups, Occidental, and Chevron. This action is an exception to the February decision to freeze the assets in Libya. Obviously, the Transnational National Council that represents the rebels supported the U.S. decision. It would seem that oil is the foundation, not morality, for being in Libya. The issue now is, will the U.S. bring in ground troops to Libya to maintain control of Libya's oil resources? Barring a petition from Gaddafi to relinquish power, the answer to that question seems to be yes. On April 7, 2011, General Carter Ham told Congress that it may not be ideal to send ground troops in. It might be the only way, however, to secure the CIA's rebels against Gaddafi. We know our clandestine U.S. government, AIPAC, supports the idea since its Secretary of State, Bill Kristol, said he would not rule out using ground troops. After all, how can the U.S. guarantee continued oil to our military in Israel if we can't control the largest oil resources in Africa? I should note here that our Defense Secretary, Gates, does not agree with Kristol. But then he's not Defense Secretary at AIPAC.